Hi Groaners, we had a slight technical problem with today's episode. Right in the middle of recording Creepy Corner, my recording software broke down and I didn't realise until it was too late. Those who put in their game answers who played along live, I remember where you put your answers, those will be honoured, okay? But that means I'll be going through the game of the 5 pound countdown really quickly. That being said, on with the show. Greetings Groaners, you've joined us once again for our Friday foray into that being the Groan Zone. The weather's been all over the place once again, either it's wet as hell or we're under the mercy of the giant fireball as it beats our brains in with heat. As always, we're bringing you the content we are known for here at Groan Zone headquarters. So without further ado, let's begin. My groans, strange expressions, vocabulary is not beast, but even more so with phrases like don't look a gift horse in the mouth or a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. I've no desire to own a horse, let alone look into its smelly gob, and nor do I wish to yank a bird from a bush, as that would be cruel. It's a play on words, I get it, but come on, we need better expressions here in the UK. People who can't do two things at once. It's called multitasking. Yes, I hate people who text face down walking. I know, I've groaned about this before. But I hate it more when they then stop suddenly in front of you to text, causing you to swerve around them as they are oblivious to their surroundings. Move aside from human traffic or wait to text. Heaven help you if you had to think about walking and breathing at the same time. Sexism. What is with this world? Can the genders not just unite? Accept that sometimes one gender is better at something else than the other. Ultimately, we're all in this together. Misogynistic and feminist behaviour shouldn't really have a place in today's modern society because it drives a wedge between us all. Take our show for example, the Groan Zone. I'm a man and my admin is a woman. We work together tirelessly to bring you this show with no issue. Granted, we may have small disagreements, but we quash them for the good of the show and sort it out. After all, unity is key in this world. Yet again, groaners, I've released my groans out there as the Groan Zone hoovers them up once more for another time. As always, groaners, one of you will get a chance to groan later. On with the show. This couldn't wait. We have a lucky with the unlucky coming next week. So you could say this is part one in a slight change to a normal programming with Oh Lucky! Imagine being this guy in Chile. He worked for a company called Consorcio Industrial de Alimentos. If I've got that wrong, my apologies to anyone in Chile. I think we've had one download from someone in Chile. My apologies. He ended up being paid way over his salary, which for 1 month came to 150 grand instead of the 450 quid he usually got. You lucky swine. However, there is a part 2 to this. Tune in next week for the unlucky counterpart. Speaking of lucky, let's see how Groaners fare with the 5 pound countdown. As previously, before the show started, here's where we had the problem. So between here and the next section after, admin Nicole's Creepy Corner, the audio broke down. So I'm going to go through the game really quickly for the 5 pound countdown. Here we go. Clue 5 for 5 points. You could say you have me if you've got a sore stomach. Clue 4 for 4 points. If you fan your hand, you make me. Clue 3 for 3 points. I can be harnessed to make a type of power. Clue 2 for 2 points. I can be used in all sorts of water-based sports. And clue 1, for 1 point, you use me to help you dry laundry. I'll tell you later the answer, Groaners. You'll find out where or if you got points. But don't remember, if you got the answer right on, say, clue number 4, but you change your answer when you get clue number 3 and you get it wrong, that doesn't mean you got 4 points. You've got to change your answer back further down the line before the game ends. Further down, like 3, 2, 1. If you don't, you've got no points for the game. Okay. We now deep dive into the fibre of reality and ask, why oh why? So you've got a celebrity on your show and you're interviewing them. Clearly before the show, they've given you a list of topics to not touch upon. What are you going to do? You ask what you shouldn't, thereby making yourself look stupid, the producers look stupid, plus you offend and anger the celebrity you're interviewing. Stick to the guidelines, you don't go off half-cocked and gung-ho. Prime example, Martin Bashir versus Robert Downey Jr. He was told not to ask about Robert Downey Jr.'s past experiences with drugs. Goes and asks anyway, ruining the interview and upsetting Robert Downey Jr., who terminated the interview in the middle of it. Going off script and causing offence in interviews, I've just got to ask, why oh why? Just do your job! I brought you the whys, but now Nicole switches up the creepy with Admin Nicole's Creepy Corner. This week's story is called The Problem with Rainbows. The Mordor family had been around since time began, some would say. There are articles and photos of every generation going all the way back to the era of plagues and castles. Jonathan Mordor was the start of it all. As the last surviving member of his family from the plague outbreak, he was determined to start anew. He took all the savings his family had left and whatever money he made from selling everything he owned and bought a small shop near the bridge in town. It wasn't the best location, but it was what he could afford. He hired all the stray children he found in the town and paid them with food. This one tiny store would go on to become the best place around for catching rats and other infected pests. The shop slowly gained recognition and started to look nicer and cleaner as the years went on, but Jonathan never felt alone. Those children he found remained strong by his side, even remaining in the dangerous job that employed them. But even then, as time went on, they went on their own path eventually. Soon, with the improvement of hygiene, rat catchers weren't even needed as much, and Jonathan was getting on in years. A boy named Robert was one of the first children Jonathan ever found, and he had seen the business grow with him. Jonathan taught him everything he knew, and as Robert grew up, eventually the business became his. As rat catchers weren't needed as often, Robert decided to turn the business into a cleaning centre to help keep hygiene in the town. They would clean anything people would pay them to clean. Little did the two know just how big this one small act became. As Robert reached a certain age and learned about running the business and proved himself worthy, he was handed the keys. The business would become whatever he wanted up until his own children would be of age, and it would be handed over to them. This is why the Mordor family has one of the oldest buildings ever made. As the building expanded, it kept its original structure and was merely improved upon. Whilst the building would constantly be brought up to code as years went on, the appearance of it would never change. It would always match the original building. It never fit in with the buildings around it, but it was home to them. As well as a room that housed their memories, the sign of the building from every generation, as was the story of the one who owned the building at the time. This would lead us to one Eugene Mordor. He was the new owner, and his choice was to make the building into a toy factory. All changes made, signs replaced, he was ready. For so many years, he was doing well. His famous line of rainbow toys was flying off the shelves, but now he needed something bigger. Some project that would cement his name in history with his family. His wife and several children, as supported as ever, meant he truly believed his project would work. To create a living rainbow of toys. After he put his son to bed, One night, he knocked over one of his comics. As he picked it up, it just happened to be open to a page with a rather peculiar advertisement on it. A scientist claiming he could create souls and just needed someone to give him a place to work. Eugene Mordor was skeptical, but also believed it to be a sign. So the next day he called the number and let his family know. They were worried, of course, but what could possibly go wrong? The scientist was given his own room to work in, and as requested, he was never to be disturbed. His wife was grateful to Anna, the AI who overran the whole building and could see inside the room without the scientist ever finding out. Unfortunately, he always knew when he was being watched. He knew everything, and the problem with creating something living is that you need life to create life. Eugene Mordor woke one night to Anna alerting him to a break-in at the factory. He ran over to check, but Anna was offline. Something ripped out her power core, shutting down all the lights and security. Eugene could only follow the faint sound of banging as it led him to the scientist's room. As he got close, he'd always wondered what the scientist was working on in there, as he promised the scientist that not even he would disturb him. The room was dark, but he could see books all over the place, papers, giant machines and tubes. Next thing he knew, he was knocked out. To create a soul, you must use a soul after all. As his family went to check on him the next morning, they were never heard from again. Eugene got his wish of living toys alright, but the cost of everything he ever held dear. Now for many years, the rainbow toys have been stuck wandering these very walls. No one knows the state of the parents, and anyone dumb enough to go inside never ever gets to leave. Nicole, your imagination knows no bounds, and now I've got a fear of rainbows. Keep them coming. We now let the Darwins flow with Double Down Dummies. Round 1. A man by the name of Gary Cagle was an avid fisherman, yet also liked to fish via the method of deep dive fishing, but he didn't always follow the rules. This time around, even though they were a protected species, he went for a fish known as the Goliath grouper. But how did this lead to his death? Was it option A? The fish, upon being spiked, pushed back with amazing force, Gary let go of the pole in error, and the fish, with its force, pushed the pole through Gary's head via his eye socket? Was it option B? When he spiked the fish, he was dragged along and got caught up in the line. He hadn't brought his knife, so due to a series of errors, Gary drowned after the fish pulled him deeper because he couldn't cut the line. Or was it option C? He thought he'd gone for a grouper, yet in the water he had actually pierced a shark in the side. The shark attacked, biting Gary in the neck. Unfortunately, Gary was unable to get back to the surface to seek medical aid. Go Groaners playing along live, give me your answers. Those at home, press pause, have a think, answer unpause. What you got, Groaners? Oh, we have people going for B. Any more? Whew, I've definitely stumped the audience this week, playing along live. Oh, more coming in. Finally, A's have flown in as well. I love this. We have a room split. There we go. Oh, and a C. Someone broke the split. Never mind, it's fine. You're allowed to answer, Groaner, don't worry. Round 2. A man in North Carolina fancied himself as a daredevil, so he proceeded to climb on top of a train to ride it like it was a beast to tame. He'd been warned about this behaviour before, but how did this lead to his death? Was it option A? A rush of air impacted him, knocking him off the train into the path of another one. Was it option B? He lost his footing and fell off the train. He was found 2 days later impaled on some rail line fencing. Or was it option C? Sooner than he realised and quicker than he could react, a low bridge met his skull, knocking his head clean off. Go Groaners playing along live, give me your answers. Those at home, pause now, answer unpause. We've got C's flying in across the board here. Any more Groaners? More C's. And more. Okay, whoa, okay Groaners, I've got you. Whoa, they're flying in. Loads of C's. Okay, gotcha Groaners, it's fine. Gotcha, I understand. C is the order of the day for this one. Answer time will come soon enough, Groaners. Hang in there, because now it's time for your turn to groan with the audience groan. This week's groan rolls in via a Discord message from Courtney of Glasgow, and she groans, "I have an audience groan you may like. I was at my local bus station the other day and was just minding my own business getting ready for the day ahead. Out of the corner of my eye, I see someone sitting on the metal seats swinging their legs. Thinking it was a child, I just happened to turn my head, only to find out it wasn't a child, it was a middle-aged woman, and she was picking up speed doing this. It was really annoying, and I must add, why are you doing this so early in the morning in a busy bus station? It is really irritating to me. I mean, why can't you just sit there like a normal human being instead of acting like a child? If you want to do this kind of thing, go to a playground instead of a busy bus station. Love the show, keep up the good work." Cheers, Courtney. This sounds like a good groan, similar to one of mine from a while ago. I must say, that is annoying, but she may also have behavioural issues or something similar. If you want to join in with the groany fun, you can send us any one of the following. You can send us your YOYs, you can send us your groans, you can nominate a hero or zero of the week, you can drop us an "oh unlucky" or a lucky story or a "what the", and of course you can present us your ideas and your feedback, which is always welcome. The ways to get in touch: you can fire off an email on the usual email of thegroanzonepod@gmail.com. You can find myself, that's Mystery Groaner, on Facebook Messenger. You can find admin Nicole there under Nicole Amos as well. You can drop us a line on Facebook groups under the Groan Zone podcast. You can seek us out on Discord via the Groan Zone, where we record live every Friday at 8:30 Greenwich Mean Time. And lastly, of course, you can drop a comment on any episode, past or future. You can't drop it in the future, past or present, and it will be picked up. Don't forget, your contributions, especially your own groans, help the show out massively, and they're always welcome. Now, Admin Nicole returns again for the last time this episode with Admin Nicole's Anagram Anxiety. This week, your anagram is Itoyaka. That's Itoyakka. Your clue: a Japanese snack. Mighty me, Nicole. I stand no chance. If you get this, groaners, well done and props to you. Moving down a notch now, we head over to Zero of the Week. Before we name the zero, we must tell a little story. This week saw America's longest wrongly incarcerated female prisoner being released. She spent 43 years in jail for a murder she didn't commit. She's now 64, and it was in 1980 when she had just been released from a psychiatric hospital where she'd been in since she was 12 years old. When she came out, she'd been out for near days, and local police accused her of the murder. She confessed via a guilty plea in court. After many appeals over the years, her conviction was finally quashed. They knew her psychiatric history and yet still locked her up, especially when there was no evidence connecting her to the crime. This week's zero goes out to the justice system in Missouri, USA. Improve on not locking up innocent people, please, and also look at the history, especially in cases like this. Just before we go, groaners, we'll dole out the game answers. Going back to last week with Who the Hell Am I? Your clue was, I have starred in many films and my last name is a type of bird. The answer was, of course, Ethan Hawke. Now moving on to the 5-point countdown, the answer was wind. I believe one groaner playing live got it on 4 points. Well done to you. Be honest, those at home, where you scored exactly. You're just cheating yourself if you cheat. Lastly, double down dummies. Round 1, your correct outcome was B. When he spiked the fish, he was dragged along, got caught up in the line. He hadn't bought his knife, so due to a series of errors, Gary drowned after the fish pulled him deeper because he couldn't cut the line. Unfortunately, the fish also died, because of course that was spiked on the spike, so 2 lives were lost. Round 2, your correct outcome was C. Sooner than he realised, and quicker than he could react, a low bridge met his skull, knocking his head clean off. Groaners, we must stress here at Groan Zone HQ, never mess about with trains. Treat both the train and the train lines with respect. They can run a lot faster than you can, and also spare a thought for the drivers in situations like this. Be careful and don't fool about with trains or train lines. On that note, Groaners, we hope some of you out there got points. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. As Robert reached a certain age, no one knows the state of the